Good morning. Today we'll be talking about the tongue and its applied aspect. So I'll be covering the introduction, the development of the tongue, the gross features of the tongue which relates to the parts and surfaces, muscles of the tongue, vascular supply, lymphatic drainage, innervation and applied aspects of the tongue. The tongue, it is situated in the floor of the mouth. Its main function are mastication, deglutition, speech and taste. It contains two parts, the oral part and the pharyngeal part. Both are separated by a V-shaped sulcus called a sulcus terminalis. Coming to the development, it will dealt in the following headings, that's epithelium, muscles and connective tissue. The epithelium again we are going to subdivide into the anterior 2/3, posterior 1/3 and the posterior most part. So coming to the epithelium, the anterior 2/3, it develops from two lingual swellings and tuberculum impar. Both are derived from the first branchial arch. Hence, the anterior 2/3 of the tongue is supplied by the lingual nerve, that is general sensory, also called as the post-traumatic nerve, and for taste sensation we have the chorda tympani, which is called as the pre-tympanic nerve. So here you can see the various arches, first arch, second arch, third arch has been depicted. Each arch has a post-traumatic nerve and a pre-traumatic nerve. So in case of the first arch, the post-traumatic nerve is formed by the lingual nerve, which is in turn a branch of the mandibular division of trigeminal nerve, and the pre-traumatic nerve is derived from the branch coming from the facial nerve called as a chorda tympani nerve. Posterior 1/3 of the tongue, the epithelial part, is derived from the cranial half of the hypobranchial eminence. This is from the third arch. Hence it is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. Both general sensory as well as the taste sensation is by the glossopharyngeal nerve. The posteriormost part of the tongue is derived from the fourth arch, hence supplied by the vagus nerve. All the muscles are developed from the occipital myotomes, hence supplied by the hypoglossal nerve. Connective tissue develops from the most local mesenchyme. So coming to the external features of the tongue, so it contains a root or the fixed part, a free part called as a tip. We have the dorsum or the superior surface and inferior surface or the ventral surface. The root, which is the attached part, is attached above to the styloid process and soft palate. Below it is attached to the mandible and hyoid bone. In between it is related to geniohyoid and mylohyoid. The tip is free. It rests behind the upper incisor teeth. So here you can see the oral part as well as the pharyngeal part. Now we'll go on to the oral part. So part which you are seeing is the dorsal surface of the tongue. So it forms the anterior 2/3. Its margins are free and is in contact with the teeth and gums. It lies in front of the palatoglossal arch. It contains 4 or 5 vertical folds which are present just in front of the sulcus terminalis, called as the foliate papillae. Its superior surface is roughened and it shows a median furrow. This roughened surface forms various papilla, which I'll be dealing with you later. The inferior surface, also called as the ventral surface, is smooth. It contains the frenulum linguae. On either sides of the linguae, you are going to find the deep lingual veins. More laterally, there is a fold called as plica fimbriata. Next, coming to the pharyngeal part, this forms the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. It's also the lymphoid part of the tongue. It lies behind the palatoglossal arch and sulcus terminalis. Its posterior surface forms the base of the tongue and also the anterior wall of the oropharynx. So compared to the anterior 2/3, this part has no papillae, and as I already told you, it is also called as a lymphoid part. So this is called as the lingual tonsil. Apart from that, numerous mucous glands are also present. The pharyngeal part is connected to the epiglottis by a fold of mucous membrane, which is called as the median and lateral glossoepiglottic folds. In between the folds, we have a depression called as vallicula. So coming to the various papilla of the tongue, which we are seeing in the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, especially the dorsal surface. So we have 3 types of papilla: circumvallate papilla, fungiform papilla, and filiform papilla. So circumvallate papilla are large, 1 to 2 mm in diameter. There are about 8 to 12 present which are situated just in front of the sulcus terminalis. The fungiform papilla has a narrow pedicle and rounded head. These are numerous, especially in the tip as well as margins of the tongue. So filiform papilla, they are present all over the dorsum of the tongue. They appear velvety in appearance. Each is pointed and covered with keratin. Next, we are going on to the muscles of the tongue. So it's basically divided into the intrinsic muscles. So these muscles are present within the tongue, and extrinsic muscles which are coming from outside. So intrinsic are superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal, vertical, and transverse. Extrinsic muscles which are coming from styloid process called styloglossus, hyoid bone called as hyoglossus, genial tubercles of the mandible called as genioglossus, and from the palate called as the palatoglossus. Now we'll be dealing the intrinsic muscles, that is the superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal, transverse and vertical. All these intrinsic muscles occupy the upper part of the tongue. They are attached to the submucosa and to the median fibrous septum. They alter the shape of the tongue. The superior longitudinal shortens the tongue and makes the dorsum concave. The inferior longitudinal shortens the tongue and makes the dorsum convex. The vertical makes the tongue broad and flattened. The transverse makes the tongue narrow and elongated. Next, coming on to the extrinsic muscles. These are the palatoglossus coming from the palate, that's the soft palate, hyoglossus coming from the hyoid bone, styloglossus coming from the styloid process, and genioglossus coming from the genial tubercles. So now we'll go on to the palatoglossus. So origin is from the oral surface of the palatine aponeurosis. It is inserted to the side of the tongue, the junction between the oral and pharyngeal parts. It pulls the root of the tongue and approximates the palatoglossal arches and thus closes the oropharyngeal isthmus. Hyoglossus. It originates from the whole length of the greater corner of hyoid bone. It is inserted to the side of the tongue between the styloglossus and inferior longitudinal. It depresses the tongue, makes the dorsum convex, and it also retracts the protruded tongue. Styloglossus. It originates from the tip and anterior surface of styloid process. It is inserted to the side of the tongue. It pulls the tongue upwards and backwards. Genioglossus. It originates from the genial tubercles of the mandible, that is the upper genial tubercles of the mandible. It contains three types of fibers: upper fibers, middle fibers, and lower fibers. Upper fibers are inserted to the tip of the tongue, middle fibers to the dorsum of the tongue, and lower fibers to the hyoid bone. The upper fibers retracts the tongue, the middle fibers depresses the tongue, whereas the lower fibers pulls the posterior part of the tongue forwards and protrudes the tongue forwards. It's a life-saving muscle. So coming to the arterial supply. So it's mainly supplied by branches of external carotid artery. So mainly you are going to find the branches, that is the lingual artery, the tonsillar branch of the facial artery, and the ascending pharyngeal branch of the external carotid artery. So venous drainage, we have the vena comittantes, So, two of these accompany the lingual artery and one the hypoglossal nerve. Apart from this, we have the deep lingual vein. It is the largest and the principal vein of the tongue. All the veins unite at the posterior border of hyoglossus and forms the lingual vein, which drains into the internal jugular vein. So, coming to the lymphatic drainage, the tip drains into the submental lymph nodes. The anterior 2/3 drains into the submandibular group of lymph nodes. The posterior 1/3 drains into the jugulo-omohyoid group of lymph nodes, while the posteriormost part into the upper deep cervical lymph nodes. So, coming to the nerve supply, basically we are going to divide it into motor nerve supply, general sensory, and special sensory, that is for the taste. Motor sensory, so all intrinsic and extrinsic muscles of the tongue are supplied by the hypoglossal nerve, except palatoglossus. The palatoglossus is supplied by the cranial part of accessory nerve through the pharyngeal plexus. So, coming to the general sensory, the anterior 2/3 of the tongue is supplied by the lingual nerve, which is in turn a branch of the mandibular division of trigeminal nerve. The posterior 1/3 of the tongue is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. The posteriormost part of the tongue is supplied by the internal laryngeal branch of the vagus nerve. The special sensory, that is the taste sensation, anterior 2/3 by the chorda tympani, which is a branch of the facial nerve. Posterior 1/3, including the circumvallate papillae by the glossopharyngeal nerve, and posteriormost part of the tongue by the internal laryngeal branch of the vagus nerve. So, coming to the applied anatomy, so just by examining the tongue, we can rule out anemia, jaundice, cyanosis. Apart from this, we can also see various other aspects as ulceration of the tongue, which is called as glossitis, carcinoma of the tongue. So, in case of unconscious patients, the tongue should be kept out mechanically or making the patient lie on one side, thereby to prevent the suffocation. Apart from this, we are going to come across the developmental anomalies as microglossia, macroglossia, tongue tie, bifid tongue.